Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. Another violent episode making America look bad. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. She did not have a gun. She had a car. 34-year-old Miriam Carey, a dental hygienist and unwed mother, tried to crash through a White House barrier yesterday. Reports say Ms. Carey believed President Obama was stalking her. She had a history of mental problems. After leading police on a wild chase that ended on the grounds of the Capitol building, Ms. Carey was shot dead by cops. Her one-year-old daughter, who was also in the car, is unharmed. Now, like the gunman in the Navy Yard shooting a few weeks ago, Ms. Carey was obviously mentally ill. And it is estimated that a whopping 26% of Americans suffer from some kind of mental disorder. In fact, the National Institute of Mental Health says 6% of American adults have a serious mental illness. With a U.S. population of 314 million, that's a whole lot of folks. There's simply no way any country can control mental illness, but there is something happening in the world that is exacerbating the problem. Most mentally ill people can be constrained to some extent. When they go out of control, they can be confined, and they know it. So there are millions of Americans walking around right now who have jobs, families, social interactions, but who are also desperately ill, despite the appearance of normalcy. Here's where the change comes in. It used to be these kinds of folks were kind of isolated. There isn't a schizophrenic club or a bipolar club. But now on the internet, there's the most horrendous stuff you can imagine readily available to anyone. In cyberspace, there are no boundaries. The worst acts that human beings can perform are on display. Therefore, restraints are falling back, and the fuse of mental illness is being lighted as troubled people see violent fantasies up close and personal. So we Americans and folks all over the world are going to see an epidemic of bizarre behavior in the future, far more than we have experienced in the past. All compassionate human beings should feel sympathy for those who are mentally ill, and we should try to help them if we can. But the truth is, the cold truth is, there's often little we can do. And the only thing we can do to protect ourselves against the mentally ill is to be very alert and aware that this problem is getting worse. And that's a memo. Now for the top story tonight, who exactly was Miriam Carey? Here now, Fox anchor Geraldo Rivera. So what's her profile?
34 years old, as you said, a dental hygienist, a person who came from a big family in Brooklyn. Her sister, an NYPD retired police sergeant. She was someone who has been troubled of late, as so many of these cases. She seems to parallel, ironically, in a very scary way, Aaron Alexis, the Washington Navy Yard mass killer down there, to the extent that she was like him. She was medicating herself. She was on antidepressants and antipsychotic drugs. What happened, she had a very rough year in 2012. She got fired from her job at the dentist's office. She fell down some steps, apparently. She was hospitalized. While in the hospital, figured out that she was a pregnancy, an unwanted pregnancy. She had the child in August, Erica, the child's name, in August. By Christmas time, by the holidays, she was going through psychotic episodes. The father of the child called the authorities. She was again hospitalized. The problem, though, is that unless they show that they are an imminent danger to themselves or others, you can't involuntarily confine these people. Right. So she goes to Brooklyn. She picks up her child at her parents' house, allegedly to take the child to Connecticut for a doctor's appointment. Instead of going north to Connecticut, she goes south down I-95 to Washington, D.C. She had, a GPS in that rented Lexus. Set it for the White House, and the rest of the story was acted out on live television.
Do we know anything about the shooting, why the police shot her?
Well, everybody is on hyper alert given the fact that you had the Washington Navy Yard massacre. So even though the Capitol cops are furloughed theoretically because they're non-essential, they're working anyway without any pay. She goes slamming into the White House barricade. Cops start shouting at her. I'm not sure how much of that was intentional. I'm not sure. She thought, according to the baby daddy, that her town, Stamford, Connecticut, was on lockdown, and that President Obama was somehow surveilling her. So that's the eerie parallel to Aaron Alexis, the Washington Navy Yard shooter. So she goes slamming into the White House barricade. No danger to the president at all. It's a remote entrance closer to the Washington Monument side of the White House compound. And then as they come to get her, stop, she responds, you know, I don't know if it was her intention to drive away in a rapid fashion, but once she hit a Secret Service guy, he's up on the hood. Now she's in a total pulse-pounding frenzy,
and she's
got the kid, and now she's going everywhere and driving everywhere. Now I hear people say, why didn't they shoot the tires out? That only happens in the movies. The cops don't shoot out the tires, and they don't shoot to knock the gun out of your hand or wing you. They shoot to kill, and that's what happened. It is tragic. Unfortunately, if you notice in the video, the Capitol cop cars do come up behind her, and they're trying to block her in the way that the car chase people always do. But they did not succeed in sealing her in. If they could have sealed her in so that vehicle was immobilized and she was no longer a threat to go to the next stop or whatever was happening, perhaps her life could have been saved. But it's very difficult to fault the cops. The family this evening is holding a press conference of sorts, so we'll hear their side of the story.
All right. Now, my talking points memo, I'm 100% sure that people who are mentally ill are now on this internet, and they derive comfort from it. You know what I'm talking about?
They reinforce their own paranoia.
Right, because there are other people like them.
Sure.
I first got onto this, and the audience should know this. You may remember, if you're a longtime Factor viewer, with this NAMBLA outfit, the child molesters, and there's actually a club for
National North American Man Boy Association.
Whatever it may be. They're child rapists is what they are.
Right.
Now, these are the worst and lowest scum in our society.
True.
But on the internet, they worldwide band together. They band together and encourage and gives tips and say, this is a good place to go, and here's how you can beat the rap, and da-da-da-da-da. This is not only happening with NAMBLA, it's happening with a lot of different fringe people. So they find their crew, whatever, if it's aliens from Venus, if it's Bigfoot, whatever it may be. And then they almost get emboldened by seeing this stuff. And I don't know in this case whether that's it, but I know mentally ill people are being encouraged almost.
You can definitely find the psychosis of your choice on the a la carte menu on the internet. There's no doubt.
Right.
The big fear that she had, what was her boogeyman? It was the shutdown of her hometown, kind of like the Stephen King Dome in Maine in the fictional story. So he's shut down her town and is surveilling her. You can find 1,000 or more websites, I'm sure, and there's just enough truth in government surveillance that you feed on
paranoia.
There's a malignancy and psychosis that really, and when you're self-medicating, it's got to be the family that notices when you stop taking your meds.
Right.
You
but
know,
when you say self-medicating, she had this prescribed for her, these drugs,
right, but you have to take your meds.
But you have to take it.
You have to, and the meds were in the Sanford condo that she lived in.
Right.
That was also part of the stress. She had been sued by the condo association because once being fired from the dentist, she started her own little business. So they found the drugs in the condo, so maybe she wasn't taking them. And they also found, curiously, Bill, an envelope addressed to the baby's daddy that had a white powder in it. We're not sure. Was it anthrax? Was it cocaine? I think that those reports will come down.
All right, hold on. Thanks very much. Check them out on the weekend. Next